ठीक है. So good morning everyone. Sir unlisted. Good morning everyone. My name is Abhay Singh and I welcome you all in today's video analysis of The Hindu. Today is 14th of September 2024 and we'll start with the first major and the most important news headline for the day, that the Honorable Supreme Court of India has granted bail to Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of New Delhi. Now, the one very important remark was made by Honorable Supreme Court while allowing a bail to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. This particular bench was, the composition of the bench were Justice Suryakant and Justice Ujjal Bhuyan. Now, while granting the bail to Arvind Kejriwal, they have given one statement that Central Bureau of Investigation is acting like a caged parrot. Central Bureau of Investigation is acting like a caged parrot, and the Central Bureau of Investigation has five specific kind of charges just to deprive the right to bail which was available to Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. So this is a kind of big relief which was provided to Arvind Kejriwal again. Now again we have to understand one thing, that this particular issue and the contribution of Central Bureau of Investigation is becoming questionable again and again. So we have to see this particular news headline in that particular context, that the Honorable Apex Court has somehow restored the faith of people in the judicial system, because everybody was aware that everybody was questioning the kind of arrest which was made by Central Bureau of Investigation. And you must understand it, that the Central Bureau of Investigation is the primary investigating agency of the central government, which was established in 1963 on the recommendations of the K. Santhanam Committee. And Central Bureau of Investigation derives its power from the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. So this is the primary statute from where Central Bureau of Investigation derives its power, that is the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act 1946. Now we'll move to the next important news headline for the day. And you must understand this, the timing of this particular bail is very important. We all know that while granting the interim bail during the 18th Lok Sabha elections, also Arvind Kejriwal got lucky and he was granted bail by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, though that was the interim bail. But again, these kind of events are very important, because these kinds of event basically restores the faith of common men in the Indian judicial system. Now the central government which has appointed a 3-member committee on June 4, 2023, on last year 2023. Now this 3-member committee, which was constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs to investigate the cases of violence which took place in the state of Manipur. Now the 3-member the Commission of Inquiry, COI, notified last year by the Ministry of Home Affairs to probe the Manipur ethnic violence, has been asked to submit its report to the Union government as soon as possible, but not later than November 20. So the respected Ministry of Home Affairs now have set a deadline for this particular inquiry commission, that they have to submit the report related to the Manipur ethnic violence by November 20. Now the deadline has been set by the Union Home Ministry. Now let's understand the composition of this particular inquiry commission, because from the examination point of view, the composition of this particular committee becomes very important commission. So this particular 3-member commission, which was to probe the cases of ethnic violence in Manipur, was constituted by Ministry of Home Affairs. It is a 3-member committee. It is a 3-member commission. So let's understand the names of the member of the commission. So this was a 3-member committee. So this was a 3-member commission. अब member में था कौन कौन? So head हैं इसके अजय लांबा. Now who is Ajay Lamba, who is heading this particular commission? He is a former Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court. Then we have Himanshu Shekhar Das. Himanshu Shekhar Das, retired IAS officer. So firstly we have Ajay Lamba, who is the former Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court. Then we have Himanshu Shekhar Das, who is a former retired IAS officer, and lastly we have Alok Prabhakar. His former retired IPS officer. So this is a 3-member commission which was constituted by Ministry of Home Affairs in 2023 to probe the cases of ethnic violence in the state of Manipur. Now the Ministry of Home Affairs has set a deadline for the same, that basically this particular commission has to submit its report not later than November 20. So November 20 is the deadline. This 3-member commission will submit its report. Now moving on to the next important news headline for the day. So we will be covering only important news article from the examination point of view, because at the end of the day we have to invest each and every minute of our schedule to the things which are important for examination. We don't have much of time that we can devote our time to random things, so we won't be devoting our time to random things. Now we are covering we are into the editorial section of the 14th of September 2024. Now let's understand the idea of covering this particular editorial. So from the examination point of view, from the perspective of CLAT, or from the perspective of ELIT, or from the perspective of CUT, UG, PG, or for that particular purpose any one-day entrance examination, this article has a lesser relevancy for this examination. The reason is very simple. This particular article is factually not very rich. So because of the similar fact, this particular article does not hold that kind of importance, but in general for the society, from the societal point of view, this particular article is very important, because this article is solely focusing on the third gender, the kind of problems that are being faced by the third gender in our country and all around the world. Not all around the world, but actually this particular article mainly focuses the kind of problem that this third gender faces in India due to lack of policy making. So let's understand this particular article, which is authored by Kavita Krishnan. He's a feminist activist and a writer. So let's understand this particular article. Last year at a closed door tribunal, I met several very young trans persons from rural and urban working class communities. It was heartbreaking to see teenagers brutalized and evicted by families surviving suicide attempts, as well as a persecution and violence on the streets. So this is not new in India. Sadly, this is not new in India, that in India, if a person is a transgender, then the attitude of the society and their family member is very different towards them. So we have to understand that the kind of problem that these transgender people face in India is because of the lack of education in the society, lack of understanding in the society, lack of understanding of biological concepts in the society. Because in India, society in general understand that there are only two kinds of gender, that is male and female. Their acceptance towards the third gender is very poor. They do not accept these third genders with very open heart. So the importance of this particular problem is very great, because when we talk about the inclusive development, we cannot leave any gender behind just because of a fact that there are only naturally or biologically there are two recognized sex, that is male and female, XX chromosome and XY chromosome. Now we have to understand one more thing when we talk about India and the situation of transgender. Then recently there was a judgment, this judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. In that particular judgment, Supreme Court of India, or the apex court, has not allowed the transgender. Basically Supreme Court has refused to provide legal recognition to the marriages between the or amongst the third gender people. So basically, once you deprive the person of right to marry, then you deprive him or her for so many other rights as well. So this is a major problem that in India these transgender people face. And in India, laws are not gender neutral. Many of the laws are not gender neutral, which are basically not applicable on the transgender people. So because of those reasons, the the kind of or the sense of security is very less in these transgender people, because there are two main reasons for this particular problem. The first reason is that the kind of perspective that society holds towards these towards this third gender people, and the second reason is that the kind of negligence or the kind of ignorance that is shown by the government of India towards these people. So this is one problem that we have to understand. Now let's understand this article holistically. This is not about Western culture wars or debates over sex, gender or sports. It is about the right of every human being to be recognized and respected as themselves, to never be asked to deny, disguise or defend their selfhood in order to enjoy civil rights and equality. So just this article, this author has given a very has given a very wise statement that just you should have, and the society in general should have, acceptance towards the person who you are actually. Originally, society should accept your original version, so that you can enjoy all kinds of civil rights which are available for the all genders. So this is one thing, and everybody's individual identity is very important, and we cannot claim this particular thing that if this particular person belongs to this specific gender, or this particular person has this certain sexuality, then we will deprive that person of very basic human rights, that is the right to be self-recognized or the right of self-identity. Now, universal today but problems in the past. Principles of human rights that are today established as universal are once treated as questions, problems and debates. So basically, the basic principles of human rights, or the basic human rights which should be provided to these transgender people, have for a very long time these human rights have been posed as questions and problems and debates by the society. The slavery question, the women question, the suffrage question, the segregation question, the untouchability question, the interracial intercaste marriage question. So basically these are the questions which are historically these are the questions and problems which were raised by the society. But when we look deeper into these particular problems, then we understand that each and every kind of problem is basically related to a specific human right. So this is one important aspect of this particular article that we have to understand. Now this is the existence of third gender is something which is very much there in the society, and these people from the third gender are the important and integral part of our society. They are very necessary and very important for the society. So it is very much needed that the outlook of society towards these people should change. This is the high time when the people of this country should take a bold step and should change their perspective towards the people of third gender. Now we are moving into another important aspect of this particular article. Now we have to understand one more thing, that while discussing this particular article, author has given so many examples from all around the world, that how things have evolved in other parts of the world. So you can look at those things. And now we are moving into the next important aspect. The gender critical mantra is not biological sex is real. The corollary is that transgender identity is not real. So we basically recognize this particular thing, biologically sex is real, but when it comes to transgender, then we do not accept the idea of sex in that particular thing, because we do not believe that not we actually, but many people in the society does not believe that these transgender people even exist. So this is one important aspect of this particular thing. Now existence is an abstract debate. So existence of this third gender people is a very abstract debate. We cannot go into that at this particular juncture. The reason is very simple. It all depends on the perspective of the people. It all depends on the perspective of the society. So this is one reason, and for the similar reason it becomes very important that this kind of debate is much needed, because this is the kind of the idea is very abstract in itself. That is something very different. Idea is very abstract in itself. That is a very different thing. But again, we have to understand that someday or there we have to decide, and we have to fix a day then when we will accept these third gender people. And again, until and unless the society is inclusive, we cannot celebrate the true independence. Within next 23 years, India is going to celebrate the 100 years of its independence. India is going to celebrate the platinum jubilee of its independence. And even now, in a country like India, where the importance of third gender people is very great historically and mythologically as well. Now we have to understand that whenever there is a good whenever there is a happy situation, or there is some ceremony, in somewhere, the importance of third gender people is very great. At that particular juncture, the person and the people are very much open towards the third gender people. But again, after that particular event is over, their perspective and their opinion becomes or goes back to original. So this is one important article that we will have to discuss, and we have already discussed this particular article. Now we are moving into the second article, and this particular article is basically focusing on the capital, or sorry, the infrastructure of the Indian the infrastructure development done by the Indian government, and the various steps that are being taken by the Indian government to develop the capital infrastructure, and by increasing the capital expenditure, how Indian government is molding India's future in a very fine and nice possible way. But there have been certain stains on this capital infrastructure as well, and these stains are basically recently there were a lot of incidents of bridge collapse in the state of Bihar, that within 10 to 15 days more than 20 bridges collapsed in Bihar. So this is a kind of thing that we have to understand, that are we in a hurry to develop this infrastructure, that we are not paying heed towards the quality of this infrastructural development. Now the target of India is to become a developed nation by 2047. India wants to become a Viksit Bharat in the Amrit Kal, and it wants to achieve the status of a developed nation by 2047. So this is one important aspect, that capital infrastructure will play a major role in achieving this particular target. Now let's understand. A report on the collapse of a series of under construction bridges in Bihar have highlighted the issue of quality control and project implementation in infrastructure in India. So basically this particular event where we have seen a lot of bridge collapses in Bihar, these particular events pose a significant threat towards the capital infrastructure development. Now we have to understand one more thing, that there are many projects in India which are running very, very late, and because of that particular thing, things are in a very different situation. So now we are moving into this particular article. The government's aim of making India as developed nation by 2047 is linked to improvements in the infrastructure sector. Further, the government increased its capital expenditure allocation to 11.11 lakh crore rupees. So in the budget of 2024-25, the financial budget of 2024-25, the government has made an allocation of 11.11 lakh crore for the capital expenditure. Now this particular 11.11 lakh crore is basically 3.4% of GDP. So government is spending 3.4% of our GDP in developing the capital infrastructure in our country. Now we have to understand what are the major challenges that are being faced by this particular domain. Now the challenges within. However, this sector still struggles with certain issues and challenges. One of the most common issues faced by most projects is particularly those that are government sponsored are time delays and cost overruns. So the major problem is that a lot of projects in India are facing are not able to meet the deadline, and also the cost has increased a number of times. Suppose initially when the project was started, the cost was basically like 1,000 crore rupees, but after 5 to 6 years the cost has now become 1,800 crore rupees. So वो 800 crore rupees का जो cost हो गया, that is your over cost. So वो over costing की भी जो problem हो रही है, एक वो भी major problem है capital infrastructure projects की जब हम बात करते हैं. दूसरा major problem क्या है? दूसरा major problem जो है वो है basically डेडलाइन पे या टाइम पे प्रोजेक्ट्स कंप्लीट ना हो पाने की. there is a very basic example. There is a report which of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation that has basically revealed that in India there are 431 infrastructure development projects, each with investment of rupees 150 crore or more, suffered a cost overturn of 4.82 lakh crore as of December 2023. So this is a very shocking data, that there are 431 projects in India, developmental projects in India. The cost of each project was more than rupees 150 crore. The cost of each project was more than 150 crore. Now, as of December 2023, the total overrun cost for these projects is 4.82 lakh crore. So this is one important thing. Now, the second important data that has been cited by Mr. Alkesh Kumar Sharma, who has authored this particular article, that out of 779 projects delayed, 36% were running behind schedule for a period between 25 to 60 months. So basically, out of 779 projects which are running late, 36% projects in India are basically running late by 24 to 60 months. 26% of projects are running late by 12 months. 23% projects are running late by 13 to 24 months, and 15% projects are running 60 month, averaging a 3-year delay. So basically, in India, the average of these 779 projects is basically a 3-year delay. मतलब ये जो 779 projects इंडिया में, इसमें हर एक project minimum 3 साल delay होगा. This is an average. Now we are moving into the next important aspect. And the next important aspect is all this result in an additional capital expenditure burden. Now, the implementation status of most of the projects point to gaps in project management practices, especially in urban infrastructure projects, including a lack of comprehensive planning and management by urban local bodies and a lack of capacity of local self-government institutions. Now this also becomes very important, and we have to understand it. And what is that important thing that we have to understand it when it comes to this capital infrastructure project development in urban areas? When we talk about urban areas, then the real capacity or the real potential of government comes into question. These urban local bodies, like these municipalities, how they are managing different things. Take one example of Delhi. Suppose there is a very busy highway, and a government wants to construct a metro overhead metro project. Now, at the end of the day, it depends on the Delhi Municipal Corporation that how it is managing the traffic and each and everything, so that this particular project can be completed efficiently. So the importance of local urban bodies, whether when it is about urban areas, then it is municipalities, and when it comes to rural areas, then it is gram panchayat. So the role of these local self-government is also very important when it comes to execution of these capital infrastructure projects. Now, traditional practices need an overhaul. Traditional project management practices require an overhaul to integrate modern tools and techniques that involves real-time data management and then crunching that data. An enabling policy framework should consider global best standards on project management and prescribe procedure guidelines for effective project execution in public sectors and private partnership projects. So basically, we have to become tech friendly when it comes to and this capital infrastructure development. We have to be more technology centric. As of now, we are adopting more and more traditional and conventional approaches. So with the passage of time, with the change in time, we have to change our approach as well. Now there are various examples which have been cited by the author. Under PM Gati Shakti, the national master plan has been launched to break the silos in which government ministries department work to bring all stakeholders to work on an integrated platform. So basically, PM Gati Shakti platform is a national master plan. And the main idea behind the creation of this specific program was to bring all the stakeholders on a single platform. This was the main idea of this PM Gati Shakti program, the National Master Plan. Now, to address challenges, a holistic program management approach is needed. So to address the specific challenges that we have discussed, the kind of delay, the overrun cost, the poor management by the urban bodies and the local self-government is also very much important. So to address these challenges, a program management approach, a program management approach is needed. This approach was adopted in the Industrial Corridors Development Project, beginning with the Shendra Betkin in Aurangabad, Maharashtra. This involved a disciplined and systematic coordination of human resources, time, money, and information to plan and deliver multiple projects in a unified manner. So what is this program management approach? So you have to coordinate with the different resources. You have to create a certain kind of plan to execute things properly and in a better and efficient way. So this is one important thing that we have to understand. Now, government should also establish an agency for this capital infrastructure development project. But again, there is this concept of special purpose vehicle. The concept of special purpose vehicle, you can give it a read. What is this concept of special purpose vehicle? So government can create more and more special purpose vehicle for the capital infrastructure development projects. Government can create more and more special purpose vehicle. So this article is also very important. This article is not that much important for one day entrance examinations, but again, to understand the whole concept of development with the reference of India, this article becomes very important, because these capital infrastructure development projects are the backbone of this country. So that's why this particular article becomes very important. Now we are moving into this ground zero section. This is not important as of now. Now this is a very important observation which has been made by the Honorable Apex Court in this bail application, while hearing the bail application of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of New Delhi. So Supreme Court Judges Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan, in his separate opinion allowing bail to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Friday, upheld the right of an accused to remain silent during the interrogation. So basically, Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan, while hearing this particular petition, he has basically claimed that the accused has a right to remain silent during the interrogation, and this is basically allowed under Article 20 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution. Under Article 20 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution, which mandates that an accused person not be compelled to be a witness against himself. This is called self-incrimination. You cannot force someone to give evidence against himself. This will be the violation of fundamental rights. So under Article 20 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution, state cannot force someone to basically give a self-incriminating statement. Now what is a self-incriminating statement? So self-incriminating statement are basically self-harming statements. So police or any investigating agency cannot force the accused under Article 20 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution to give an incriminating statement So this particular observation was made by Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan while hearing the bail petition or the bail application of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who is the Chief Minister of New Delhi. So this news is very important, and the Honorable Supreme Court of India, or the Apex Court, has made certain strong observations against the Central Bureau of Investigation as well, because the Honorable Supreme Court of India has used a very specific word for Central Bureau of Investigation, and that particular word is basically a caged parrot. Supreme Court has used a specific term for this Central Bureau of Investigation, and that particular term is a caged parrot. So this particular observation also becomes very important. You have to remember that under Article 20 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution, state machineries cannot force an accused to give a self-incriminating statement, because this particular thing or this particular right is protected by the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. So this becomes very important. You have to remember it. Now we have to discuss another important observation that was being made by the Honorable Supreme Court of India while hearing this particular bail petition. So the Supreme Court on Friday held that a High Court must either relegate bail petitions to the trial court concerned then and there, or promptly hear them on merits, as the right to personal liberty was at stake. So while hearing this particular petition, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has made a very fine and humane observation that when it comes to these bail applications, it becomes imperative for the High Court to hear these petitions on the merit only, or they should transfer these petitions with immediate effects to the trial court. So basically what Supreme Court wanted to say is that अगर High Court के पास कोई bail petition जाता है, तो या तो High Court उस bail petition को then and there, मतलब उसी particular moment पे trial court को transfer कर देगा. Otherwise the High Court have to or should listen. The High Court should listen the arguments and the main statements being made by the accused, because when you are not allowing someone bail, basically you are violating or you are questioning the liberty of that particular person. So basically you are violating the fundamental rights of that particular person. So when it comes to bail applications, High Court should dispose those bail applications then and there only, or should transfer those bail applications to the trial court then and there only, or they can hear those bail applications on the merit, but they should not try to basically delay those hearings. So this is also very important. You have to understand it. Now we are moving into the next important article of today's newspaper. We have already discussed certain important aspect of this particular article yesterday. So now India is broadening dialogues with interim government in Bangladesh. So now India is now not only India but both India and Bangladesh are understanding, or they know the importance of each other. So now India has started to have a broadened dialogue with the interim government, which is led by Mr. Mohammad Yunus in Bangladesh, in a bid to regularize ties with Bangladesh after the Sheikh Hasina-led government falls last month. India has gradually broadened its engagement with the interim government in Dhaka, led by Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus. Starting September 2, High Commissioner Pranay Verma has met with the advisors in charge of various key departments in the interim administration. So this article, so this particular thing becomes very important because India is trying to normalize its ties with the government in Bangladesh, and this is also very important because we have to normalize our ties with Bangladesh, because the regime of Sheikh Hasina is over. We have to accept it. So now we have to build everything from the scratch. So it is important that we should work as soon as possible on our bilateral relations with Bangladesh. So this article also becomes very important, and we have to give it a proper reading when it comes to anything which is related to India and Bangladesh. So now we are moving into the next important aspect of today's newspaper, and again this particular article is related to the unfortunate event which took place at RJR Hospital on 9th of August 2024. There was this tragic event in which a trainee doctor was brutally raped and murdered at the RJR Hospital. So now the protesting doctors have urged President and Prime Minister to intervene in Kolkata case. And as Mamata Banerjee has failed to take over the insistence or take over the demands of these protesting doctors, because doctors are basically demanding that their meeting or their gathering should be live telecasted on the public platform. So this particular demand was not accepted by the West Bengal government. They were ready to hold a conversation, they were ready to hold a dialogue with the protesting doctor, but they were not comfortable with the fact that this particular dialogue should be live streamed on the platform. So because of this particular facts, the doctor have requested the Honorable President of India and the Prime Minister of India to intervene this particular case as soon as possible. And also yesterday, Honorable Governor of West Bengal, Mr. C.V. Ananda Bose, has given him a statement, and in that particular statement he has stated that he will socially boycott the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee. Now, Railway Board Chairman flags shortage of manpower. So the new Railway Board Chairman, or the new CEO of Railway Board, Satish Kumar, after assuming the charge, Mr. Satish Kumar has given one very shocking statement that Railway Board is suffering at this moment. Railway Board is suffering from the shortage of manpower, and now a very historic statement, not a very historic statement, but a very historic step is taken by the union government, Bharatiya Janata Party led union government, and this particular step is that they have renamed Port Blair as Sri Vijayapuram. So Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Friday said that Port Blair, the capital city of Andaman and Nicobar Island, will be renamed as Sri Vijayapuram to free the nation from colonial imprints. Announcing the decision on X, Mr. Shah said. So basically, government has changed the name of the capital of Andaman and Nicobar from Port Blair to Sri Vijayapuram. So now Port Blair is Sri Vijayapuram, and this particular step has been taken to reduce the impact, or to assert the fact we are living in a free country. So this is one important thing that we have to understand. Now the next important article is, or the next important information is, that DRDO has completed the preliminary trials of indigenous light tank Zorawar. अब इस टैंक को DRDO और L&T ने मिलकर के कोलैबोरेट करके बनाया. इट इज़ अ लाइट वेट टैंक, इसका नाम जोरावर है, और इसे अगस्त 2025 तक मिलिट्री में इंडक्ट कर लिया जाएगा. सो नाउ वी आर मूविंग इनटू द लास्ट सेक्शन ऑफ द टुडेज न्यूज़पेपर. So World Health Organization has cleared a Bavarian Nordic shot for monkeypox, mpox. So recently, the World Health Organization has declared mpox or the monkeypox as a disease or as a disease public health emergency of international concern, PHEIC. So now who declares Bavarian Nordic shots for mpox? So now this is important for us to understand कि World Health Organization ने mpox के लिए Bavarian Nordic shot suggest किया है. So now we're moving into the next important part of today's newspaper. We are moving into basically sports section, and in sports section again, there is no, as of now or at this given moment, there is no major international tournament. From 19th of September, there is a test series, there is a bilateral test series between India and Bangladesh. But again, these kinds of events are not important for any one-day entrance examination, so we'll be skipping all those things. So with this, we have completed the news analysis of 14th of September 2024. अगर आप लोगों को कहीं पे कुछ भी डाउट होता है तो आप लोगों से प्लीज़ कमेंट सेक्शन में पंच इन कर दीजिएगा. डू लाइक दिस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो एंड सब्सक्राइब टू सक्सेस मंत्रा डिजिटल चैनल.